Synopsis. Well, isn't this an astounding coincidence? There's a direct ferry line to Pallet Town from the island Ash just happens to be on. It's a good thing that Lapras just happened to find its estranged family here, or else they might have gotten themselves in trouble. But yes, Ash is heading back for his victory tour, and he's all,
I can't wait to get back for one of my mom's special deep dish chili dog and pizza pot pies.
Okay, now I feel like they're taking the mickey here, like the localization writers saw Ash wanted curry or something, and they spontaneously decided to have a competition to make the most American dish they could think of. I sure hope she throws in her famous deep-fried burrito burger balls. I'm bathing in Bismol tonight, baby. Meanwhile, Tracy is so excited to visit Pallet Town that his New York accent is slipping.
I can't wait to get over to Pallet Town either, Ash.
I just gotta get over to Pallet and give that Oak Joker a piece of my mind. Oh! Then they stop at this sign and have a pretty surreal conversation, I'm not gonna lie.
Due to extremely dangerous conditions, persons are forbidden to cross this bridge? It looks safe to me.
Maybe we should just take a chance and cross it anyway.
What the heck is this, Cabin in the Woods? It says here that the bridge is highly dangerous and should not be crossed under any circumstances. But if we don't cross the bridge, we won't get to Pallet Town. I think we should try anyway. What's the worst that could happen, right? Yeah. Luckily, an explosion shocks them out of their apparent trance, though I'm surprised Ash isn't all, it wouldn't be the first time we've crossed an incomplete bridge. There isn't even a storm this time. But they decide to play it safe and use the rowboat Tracy apparently had folded up in his rucksack. Yeah, I know they could have rented it, but that just implies they didn't consider that possibility while planning their crossing earlier. It's not a good look anyway you view it. Also, they could have just gotten Meryl, Squirtle, and Staryu to pull them over. This seems like such a cop-out. Anyway, so already we've bypassed a huge, explicit government warning complete with explosion to show up at an abandoned site. I mean, they kind of deserve what they get at this point, you know? But there's no other way to get to Pallet. No other way in the entire world. So anyway, why the ghost town? What, is there a gang war between gyms? Is the island collapsing? Is a man in a sweater vest suspiciously the only inhabitant left? Oh great, they're not trapped in another diorama, are they?
I don't get it.
You are in a town that was cordoned off. You saw an explosion. Go to a center and ask a freaking Jenny. Don't freaking stick around, you dense pieces of rubbish. Oh no, Jigglypuff snapped. This explains everything. Then they stop at a ferry and Ash is all, what the heck? This door at a place of commerce is locked when there's no one here. Have they no respect for precocious youth? I'm surprised the front door wasn't locked, to be honest. While all this is going on, Togepi takes up table dancing. Top-notch parenting there, Misty. And then just freaking walks out the door. Top-notch parenting there, Misty. Then it runs off with the animator's dream Pokemon, leaving Misty to be all, the writers ran out of ideas. Again? Luckily they find it again pretty quickly, as well as the apparent cause of desertion. Then Misty's all, come here, honey, let's get off the high explosive, okay? Screw you, Mom. Young Wildy free. Get back here. And then we see it's a freaking infestation. You've heard of rats with wings. How about rats with bombs? You still want to live in the Pokemon world? Yeah, me too.
And those look better than Voltorb.
Worse. What? Those look worse than Voltorb. Better isn't a word unless you think they look cool. Do you think they look cool, Tracy? If it prevents me from concussion, I'll think whatever they want me to think.
They're even scarier than the Voltorb are.
And you don't end a sentence with a preposition, Ash. Okay, geez, since when are you such a grammar Jenny, Misty? I'm sorry, without Togepi, nagging's all I've got. So, in an actually pretty tense moment, they try to escape without disturbing the electrode. Except Death from Final Destination has other plans, apparently. Okay, that was a top-tier pun. Well done, 4Kids. So the Electrode go off and chase the gang into a dead end. Who can save them now? Why, McCree from Overwatch, of course.
Okay, go!
Sweet Arceus, I thought I was free of that blasted chant, but if they didn't find a way to worm it back into my ears, now all of you must suffer again, share in my pain! So the Diglett mitigate the explosions by burying the Electrode, then they get the full rundown from Poncho here. Yes, his name is Poncho.
They pretty much took over the whole island. They got so stressed out, they started blowing up. And that's when everybody cleared off the island.
But couldn't they just catch the Electrode and Pokeballs and transport them to a better location? No. Oh, darn. Then he explains his profession as a Diglett rancher, and wow, I guess Diglett really do just spawn out of wormholes unless the rancher's just a writhing mess of Diglett wearing a mask, but I prefer not to consider that. So yeah, he's planning an underground tunnel to a more spacious plane on the main island, and hang on a second.
Over on the big island, there's some prairie land set off by itself that's wide open.
This island has at least 3 other cities. Why on earth is the ferry still grounded? Just set up at another port on the same island until the situation is dealt with. Well, we've moved on to a different conflict by this point, so let's focus on that. Poncho's method is much more ethical and humane, but it's taking an extremely long time and a lot of money, which the council doesn't like. Geez, does every episode involving Diglett contain an environmentalist narrative? But yeah, the council have grown impatient and started a new contract with a group who apparently have a faster but more blunt solution. Gee, I wonder who they are.
Time again to prepare for travel.
And just like always, better make it double.
I'll get back into this in a minute, but I just want to draw attention to James's line here.
Surrender now or prepare to fight.
This fascinates me as I'm trying to figure out exactly what happened. It's one of three things. Either Eric Stewart did a bad take and they found out that it happened to match up perfectly with the lip flaps, they saw that James's line went longer than usual and added the cough to pad it out, or the Japanese version also had a cough. It's also possible that maybe they had to stretch it out because of Jesse's hair in the way of his face. It's wondering about this kind of thing that makes it so fun to watch these as an adult, you know? Just me? Anyway, yes, Team Rocket will today be playing the role of Captain Planet villains, in much the same way they did the last time they were contracted to exterminate a local wildlife population for the purposes of tourism. Except this time, they have the tank. So they begin their operation and Poncho's all...
Exploding tires them out, but they can't help but get captured. See how easy they're all getting scooped up? Now they can't explode and defend themselves.
How horrible! Team Rocket are using attacks to weaken the Pokémon so that they're more easy to capture! We can't let them get away with this! So they keep weakening the Electrode for capture and the others are powerless to stop them since they have an order making it completely legal? This would be an interesting dilemma if the twerps didn't all have teams of Pokémon that were caught the same way! Does this show hate its own premise or something? Team Rocket are completely in the right, or at the very least the twerps don't have any sort of moral high ground to stand on. The only iffy prospect is that the Pokémon will all belong to Team Rocket, a known criminal organization, and yes, that's somewhat fair to be upset about, but this is still no different functionally from Team Rocket going into a field of Rattata and capturing them all legally. In fact, it's better than that as it also helps out the city. This episode is a freaking hot mess. Anyway, so then the other Electrode around the city see the explosions and gather around the rockets. I wonder what'll happen. What? Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I guess it didn't. Weird.
Togepi's trying an attack.
Togepi might be a little young for that, Misty.
Oh, shut your hypocrite mouth, Tracy. When are you leaving again?
You'd think Togepi would have learned at least one attack by this time.
So Voltorb's doing pretty well at distracting Team Rocket, but then Togepi heads out and then Pikachu heads out after Togepi and Ash is all, Pikachu, don't pick up Togepi and run to safety. Instead, break the law by stopping Team Rocket from doing their job. And then when that doesn't work, Poncho decides to join in the harassment by bringing out
Doug Trio!
And now the rest of the chant is in my head. Can this episode do anything more to annoy me?
Diglett, dig round the Electrode and move them on out of here!
They could have just...
A lot of the islanders are complaining my way takes too long and costs too much.
And then...
The bridge is fixed and the island's back to normal, thanks to you, Poncho.
And the mayor was so grateful, she gave me a bonus and a key to the city.
Key to the city? Key to the... But... Get out! Get out now! Get away from this forsaken... Jigglypuff! Thoughts. Rock! Rockety rock! Stealth rock throw, rock slide, rock blast, rock tomb, rock wrecker, not even rock polish can save this rocking... Okay. I'm calm. Not a fan. Man, what a sour note to leave the Orange Islands on. Just nearly everything conspired together to make a perfect continental crush of things that annoy Suede. The twerps being idiots, a good intended message getting bungled in a spectacular way, the Diglett chant, Togepi being used for cheap conflict, Team Rocket being used for cheap conflict when they have no moral low ground, the Doug Trio chant, the entire plot being saved out of nowhere by the Arceus Ex Machina of Poncho simply going, hey Diglett, try winning. And then they have the gall to jam their pink puff in my face in that last shot. Okay, I get where they were going with this. Heck, it's one of the reasons I'm so annoyed with it, as it's a really good setup for a dilemma. What happens when a humane solution to a problem is starting to harm real livelihoods? What if there were restaurant or hotel owners, and not even just the rich folk, the employees too, who were losing tons of money every day that Poncho slowly moved the Electrode out? I mean, for an example, here in New Zealand we have a real problem with an introduced possum population. These are Australian possums, not American opossums. American possums look like demon rats, whereas Australian possums look like demon teddy bears, okay? They need to be culled severely for the sake sake of the environment as they destroy native plants and bird habitats, and since the population eat nearly 21,000 tons of foliage per day, it needs to be done ASAP. Unfortunately, to kill them fast, the government uses very ethically questionable products like 1080 poison, which might also have negative effects on the native population. Another example is that deer populations all over the world often need to be culled for their own safety as they overpopulate to the point that they would starve otherwise and again destroy native flora. This could have been a really good way to introduce kids to these kinds of no-win scenarios that can occur, like the animated Lorax cartoon.
How bad can I possibly be?
Not that one, the 70s one.
What do you want? I should shut down my factory? Fire 100,000 workers? Is that sound for the country?
I see your point, but I wouldn't know the answer.
But instead of using this to the story's full potential, they instead portray the kids as moronic trespassers who object to Team Rocket's solution without any form of differentiating between what they do every day. Like, yes, on the outside it is somewhat cruel to exhaust the Electro through such violent means, and a more humane solution is definitely preferable. But what Team Rocket is doing is faster and no different from just battling them all individually to catch them, and they're doing it legally. But no, the episode is just, this is cruel and horrible and must be stopped. Pokemon aren't meant to be caught like this. Okay, well, is there anything else good? I did like Poncho's design, the backgrounds were neat, and a couple of scenarios were genuinely suspenseful, but yeah, otherwise this was a poorly animated, utterly infuriating dud on almost every level with only its potential to redeem it, which unfortunately is never enough. So yeah, the most minor of light spots aside, splintering storm shards, is this one just the rockiest rock that ever rocked? I'll give it a great ball. Sorry, couldn't resist, it's a rock. Trivia. Strangely, this episode is one of the very few instances in which the Pokédex neglects to say Voltorb species, as in it doesn't say Voltorb, the ball Pokémon. Probably just a goof, but still weird. Now, moving on from bad dub moves to excellent ones. The name of the island in this episode is Hamlin. Those of you who are up with your folktales should be nodding along here, since the story of the Pied Piper was set in a town called Hamelin, which featured a stranger tasked with evacuating an infestation of animals. Luckily, Poncho didn't take revenge on the town by hypnotizing the children, but I guess it would have been too close to a previous episode. But the really clever thing here is that Hamlin is also a variety of orange. I'm sorry if this is common knowledge where you are, but here in New Zealand I had no idea. I just love when that little bit of extra effort is put in. I bet they were high-fiving in the writers' room when they found that one out. Lastly, one of the many things I found annoying in this episode was that Togepi used metronome, but nothing happened. No explosion or anything. Well, this was explained in the original version, and it was actually pretty funny when you realize what's happening. See, in Japanese, Misty notices that Togepi fumbled metronome and is using Splash. But it doesn't look like a Magikarp, you say. Well, here's the thing. In Japanese, the move Splash is called Hop, which suddenly makes a lot more sense, right? Curses! I wish to lay waste to my enemies, not bounce on my bottom.